Three armed men. One elderly VA hospital on a quiet Sunday night, and a soft-spoken nurse named Marcus Webb who'd spent 6 years convincing everyone he was just a gentle soul who loved helping veterans sleep peacefully. What those intruders didn't know was that Marcus had a very different skill set, one that had been dormant for years, one he'd promised himself he'd never use again. Until tonight, Marcus Webb wasn't the kind of nurse you'd remember. At 38, he moved through the night shift at the Denver VA hospital like a ghost, his voice barely above a whisper, his movements careful and deliberate. The other nurses joked that he apologized to the floor for walking on it. Veterans loved him because he had this way of sitting with them when they couldn't sleep, never rushing, never judging, just listening to their stories like each word mattered. "You remind me of my grandson," 82-year-old Bill Patterson told him one night. Gentle, good soul. Marcus smiled that quiet smile of his. "Thank you, Bill. That means a lot." What Bill didn't know, what none of them knew, was that Marcus Webb had spent 8 years as a Green Beret Special Forces. 3 tours. The kind of missions that don't make it into official records. He'd left that life 6 years ago after watching his best friend die in his arms, and he'd made himself a promise. Never again. He'd become a nurse to heal, to help, to be the opposite of what he'd been trained to be. It was 2:47 a.m. on a Sunday when everything changed. Marcus was checking on room 314, adjusting Mr. Chun's oxygen levels when he heard the crash. Glass shattering. Then voices, angry and demanding, echoing from the first-floor entrance. His body went still. That old instinct kicked in before he could stop it. 3 voices, male, agitated, armed probably. He moved to the hallway camera monitor. 3 men, ski masks, one with a crowbar, 2 with what looked like firearms. They were shouting about the pharmacy, about opioids, about how this would be quick. Marcus felt his heart rate slow, calm the way it used to. No, he thought. Not anymore. Call security. Let them handle it. He reached for the phone. Dead. They cut the lines. One of the veterans, Sarah Martinez, a 45-year-old Army vet with PTSD, rolled her wheelchair into the hallway. "Marcus, what's that noise?" "I heard. Sarah, back in your room now. Lock the door." She froze. She'd never heard that tone from him. Command, authority, zero room for argument. "Marcus, trust me. Go." The men were coming up the stairs. He could hear them. 2nd floor. Heading to 3rd. 12 patients on this floor. Most of them elderly, sick, vulnerable. The security guard, Paul, was 67 and unarmed. The other nurse, Jessica, was 5 months pregnant. Marcus stood in the hallway and felt something break open inside him. The thing he locked away. The part of himself he buried. "I'm a nurse now," he thought. "I heal people." But sometimes his old sergeant's voice whispered in his memory. Healing means protecting. The first intruder rounded the corner and saw Marcus, this thin, quiet guy in scrubs, standing in the middle of the hallway. "Get out of the way," the man growled, raising his weapon. Marcus didn't move. When he spoke, his voice was different. Calm, cold, precise. "You have 3 seconds to leave this hospital. After that, I can't promise your safety." The intruder laughed. "You serious, nurse boy?" 3. The man stepped forward. 2. Move. 1. What happened next took 11 seconds. Marcus moved like water. The first intruder's weapon was on the floor before he understood what happened. The man himself unconscious before he hit the ground. The second man fired. Marcus was already moving. The bullet hit in the wall where he'd been standing a fraction of a second before. A joint lock. A pressure point. Down. The third man, the one with the crowbar, was smarter. He ran. Marcus let him go. He wasn't that person anymore. He'd done what he needed to do. Nothing more. By the time the police arrived 8 minutes later, Marcus was back to being himself. Quiet, apologetic, almost. "I just did what I had to do," he told the officers. his voice soft again. The patients needed protection. The next morning, the hospital was chaos. News crews, administrators. The story was everywhere. Nurse disarms armed intruders at VA hospital. Marcus tried to disappear. But Sarah Martinez found him in the break room. You were Special Forces, weren't you? He looked at her, this woman who'd seen combat, who knew what it looked like when someone had training. A long time ago, he said quietly. Why didn't you ever tell anyone? Marcus was silent for a moment. Because that's not who I am anymore. That person did things I'm not proud of. I became a nurse to be someone different. Someone who helps instead of hurts. Sarah wheeled closer. Marcus, you saved 12 veterans last night. You protected people who've already given everything for their country. That's not the old you coming back. That's the best parts about people you've been. 6 months later, Marcus still works the night shift. He's still quiet, still gentle with the patients, still apologizes too much according to the other nurses. But now when he sits with veterans who can't sleep, sometimes they ask him about his service. And sometimes, very rarely, he talks about it. I used to think I had to choose, he told Bill Patterson one night. Between the soldier I was and the nurse I became. Like I couldn't be both. Like one canceled out the other. And now? Bill asked. Now I think maybe we're not just one thing. Maybe we're the sum of everything we've been, everything we've survived, everything we've learned. The violence I learned isn't who I am. But the discipline, the courage, the commitment to protecting others, that's still there. I just use it differently now. Bill smiled. Sounds like you made peace with yourself, son. I'm trying, Marcus said. Every day I'm trying. We all carry versions of ourselves we've left behind. Sometimes we think we have to erase the past to move forward. But maybe the real courage is integrating all those pieces, taking the lessons, leaving the pain, and becoming someone who's stronger for having survived it all. If this story touched you, hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to hear that their past doesn't define their future. And subscribe for more stories of soul relief. Because we all need reminding that who we were doesn't limit who we can become.